What if I told you that investing before you are ready could actually hurt your finances more than it can help them? It is true, and it's something that almost no one talks about. I'll admit, I know this firsthand because historically, I have had a high tolerance for risk. And in the past, there have been a couple times where I have jumped into investments before I was ready financially and emotionally. And if you know anything about investing, you know that can lead to losing money. Now, don't get me wrong. Being fearless and taking calculated risks with your finances can have positive outcomes. The key word is calculated. That means being strategic. In this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do before you start investing. Because if you're not ready, investing can create more anxiety than abundance. Hello and welcome. If you are new here, my name is Lissa. I'm a certified financial planner, an accredited financial counselor, and I am the creator of Hello Money Bootcamp. I want more of you building wealth, especially women of color who have historically been left out of the conversation. Let's jump into the video. The video is split into 3 parts. Part 1 is why your financial foundation is critical. Part 2 consists of the 6 core steps I recommend for every beginner investor. And Part 3, a checklist that'll help you decide if you are ready. Let's start with Part 1. Why does it matter? Why does your financial foundation matter? Let's look at an example. Let's say that you invest $2,000 in a diversified index fund. And don't worry if you don't know what that is. This is just an example for illustrative purposes. Let's say that investment grows a little bit, it goes up, it goes down, but then it drops 10%, down to $1,800. All of a sudden, you now need that $2,000 that you initially had to fix your car. But you only have $1,800 of investments that you can sell. You sell the index fund, you pull out the money, and you lock in that loss, and you still got to find $200 somewhere else. For some people, you might feel discouraged and afraid to ever invest again. Like, I tried it one time and the universe told me no. In reality, it's probably not the universe telling you no, but it could be telling you not yet. That's the kind of situation that I want you to avoid. I want you to be building wealth. I want you to reach financial security, so we can't have that happen. That's why if you can take the time to build a solid financial foundation, you can invest your money with confidence. You won't have any panic. You're not going to have those situations where you're like,
damn, I wish I knew better. I wish I did it differently.
You're simply going to have a good long-term wealth building plan. And on top of that, peace of mind. That's why if you can set up some things properly before you kick off your investing journey and start throwing all your money in investments, you are going to be better off in the long run. You're not going to take 2 steps forward and then 10 steps back. You're going to take 2 steps forward, maybe a pause here and there, and then more steps forward. So let's talk about exactly what a financial foundation looks like. Part 2, the 6 core things I would recommend you do before you start investing. Almost everyone should consider these 6 things before even investing their first dollar. They are foundational aspects of finances, and if you're an OG on my channel, you've probably heard all of these before, so bear with me. I just hope that this repetition motivates you to keep going on your journey. Number 1, know your numbers. I don't think you should be investing money on a regular basis if you don't even know what your financial situation looks like. I think there are a lot of aspects of knowing your numbers, but in particular, I want you to know your cash flow and your net worth. Your cash flow, it's the money that comes in versus the money that goes out. Typically, when you're looking at cash flow, you are looking at a specific period of time. So think monthly cash flow. What comes in a given month, the month of June, what goes out in the month of June. Now your net worth is a different kind of number. It is a snapshot in time that tells you everything you own, which are your assets, minus everything you owe, which are your debts or your liabilities. Think of it like this. Cash flow is your day-to-day rhythm. It gives you information that helps you make those small day-to-day financial decisions. Net worth is a more big picture financial scorecard. It gives you an indicator if all the various things you're doing with your finances are actually having an impact. It's something that you want to see grow long term. So going back to your cash flow, if you have a good grasp on your cash flow on a monthly basis, and for most people, it's not going to be the same every single month, but you want a handle of what it is generally month to month. Knowing that is going to give you key information to make decisions, such as how much money you can save each month, how much money you can invest each month, how much extra money you can put towards your debt payments every month. Knowing your cash flow is going to help you know whether or not you are spending your money on things that you want or things you don't want or need, in which case you can make changes so that you're not wasting your hard-earned money. Now, lucky for you, I have a free resource in the description to help you calculate your cash flow. It is a free Google spreadsheet template that you can use to take a look at your cash flow and understand where your numbers stand. Now, going back to your net worth. Your net worth gives you an idea of your overall financial picture. Low-key, it is less important than your cash flow on a day-to-day basis, but I honestly think that if you've never even calculated this before, there's no harm in calculating it now today. It's going to give you a baseline that you can track your progress against over time. Whatever your net worth is today, you want it to be better a year from now, 5 years from now, later down the line. When you see your net worth grow over a long period of time, it's telling you that you are making the right decisions towards building wealth. Now, I also have a free resource, a free Google spreadsheet that you can use to help calculate your net worth. So I'll drop that link in the description as well. The bottom line with knowing your numbers is that you need to know where you stand. It's hard to invest strategically and hard to stick to your investing plan and your plan to build wealth when you don't know what your financial situation is like. It'd be like if you're trying to bake a cake where you don't have a recipe, you have no idea how, and you were just handed a bunch of mystery ingredients. You're basically winging it, and maybe you can come out with a nice cake, but more likely than not, you're not going to have something that looks nice or tastes nice. With finances, you want to be detailed and strategic. Number 2. The next thing you should do before you throw all your money at investing is to build an emergency fund. This is your financial safety net. It is a bucket of money you're going to set aside and you're not going to touch except for true emergencies. Think a job loss, a medical crisis, or an urgent family situation where insurance doesn't cover your needs. If you don't have an emergency fund, check out my full guide on how to build one that goes way more in depth than this video. For people who don't have one yet, I suggest starting with a small amount, a bucket of $1,500 or 1 month's worth of expenses, something that'll get you by for minor emergencies and to give you some peace of mind. Then I would suggest that you aim to grow it to 3 to 12 months worth of expenses, depending on your stability and your responsibilities. The amount that you should save for yours is gonna vary on a lot of different factors. So check out that video. I'm gonna link it as well in the description to get an idea of how to approach your emergency fund. Number 3. Pay off your high interest debt. If you are carrying credit card debt or any other type of high interest debt, focus on paying that off first. Now, there's no exact percentage that constitutes high interest debt, but as a general rule of thumb, anything over 8%-ish of interest can typically be considered high interest debt. So a major reason for this is if you look at the stock market average returns over the last 100 years, you'll see anywhere between 7 to 10% in returns, a little bit lower because of inflation. Now, most credit card interest is anywhere around 15 to 25%, maybe more. So if you think about it, if you invest your money, you might get good returns. And you might even beat out those averages from the last 100 years. But still, it's not guaranteed. Whereas if you are already holding on to some debt and you are paying interest to a lender or a creditor, that debt guarantees you are paying interest. So one way to look at it is if you hold high interest debts, you have for sure interest that you have to pay. And if you're instead taking money and investing it versus paying down that debt, you are hoping that you're going to make some returns that outpace that interest you're for sure paying on your various debts, right? They're two different things. You're investing over here and you got some debts over here. But conceptually, paying off your debt guarantees that you will save money in the long run. You'll be saving money on interest. Now, you don't have to be completely debt-free to start investing. This is a personal choice, and it's going to depend on your own goals and your risk tolerance. A lot of people start to invest while paying off student loans or mortgages. But on whether or not you should be investing when you still hold high interest debt, that's another question, and at the very least, you should understand the trade-offs. Number 4, another thing to consider doing before investing is to create sinking funds. So let's revisit that example at the beginning where I talked about a car repair. Someone invested $2,000 and then the investment went down to $1,800, but then they needed money for a car repair. So technically, sure, you could dip into your emergency fund for some money instead of touching your investments. But ideally, you don't want to touch your emergency fund for something like a car repair. Instead, you want to use sinking funds. So sinking funds can be used for a variety of purposes, but I like the idea of using them as saving buckets for any irregular but expected costs. For example, you might know that there will be some car maintenance in the future, or some holiday travel in the future, or you might have pets and you know that you're going to have some vet bills, you just don't know when, and you might not even know how much. If you can save up some money, some sinking funds, and put money towards these funds every month, they will help prevent you from touching your emergency fund, your true safety net, and these things will prevent you from touching your investments. You can think of them as mini emergency funds if you want, but ultimately the goal is to reduce the risk of needing to sell your investments early when you're not ready to, when you want those investments to work for you in the long run. This is why getting your financial foundations and your financial house in order before you start investing is going to give you a better chance at succeeding in your investments and your journey towards building wealth. Number 5, define your short-term goals. Now, as a personal finance expert who is very big on goal setting and defining your why behind everything, I think everyone should set financial goals as a whole, whether they are things in the immediate term, the next few years, or way later on down the line. But I specifically want you to define your short-term goals before you start investing, because I consider short-term goals anything you need money for in the next few years. A good rule of thumb is in the next 1 to 5 years, and that can include anything like taking a sabbatical, or starting a business, having a wedding, or moving cross-country, or even out of the country. The reason you want to understand your short-term goals before you start investing is because when you need your money determines where you should put your money. The sooner you need your money, the more you want to consider keeping your money in safer places, less risky assets, or maybe not invested at all. There's a wide spectrum of investments as well as financial tools and financial products where you can put your money and get a return, and you can align your risk tolerance and your time frame with where you choose to put your money. For short-term goals, sure, you can invest that money, but you might run into that same situation like the car repair example, where you don't have control over the market and could potentially need your money at a time when the market is down. The key is learning to match the timeline of your money and when you need it with the risk level of the account that you use, the financial product or investment that you choose to put your money in. Okay, on to the last one on the list. Number 6, something else to do before you start investing is to understand your risk tolerance. Think about how you feel when the market drops. How would you feel if the value of your portfolio went down? Do you feel chill about it and focused on the long term? Or are you more panicked about it and ready to pull your money out? Your risk tolerance is your ability and your willingness to endure market volatility. It's emotional and it's personal. It's something that only you can gauge. When you start investing, you are going to want to have an investment strategy that you can stick with, that you're confident in, and that matches your risk tolerance. For a lot of beginners, that means starting with index funds instead of individual stocks. For a lot of beginners, that means investing for the long term versus trying to be a trader or anything like that. For some people, it means investing smaller amounts while you start to build your confidence about having money in the markets. But again, it all varies. I can't tell you how to invest because I don't know your risk tolerance. That's why it's really important to understand yours before you start investing. Simply knowing your own risk tolerance and connecting that with your actual strategy is going to set you up for more success in the long run. All right, so quick intermission. If you are enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And for those already subscribed, I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to keep cranking out videos that can hopefully help you continue to build wealth. Part 3. We've covered why you need a financial foundation before you start investing, and we've covered the how. We've covered 6 different things you should consider doing before you start investing. Now, let's review that checklist. Understand your cash flow and your net worth, aka know your numbers. Build your emergency fund and at least a starter emergency fund of at least $1,500 or 1 month's worth of expenses. Use that as a building block, as a motivating factor to get you to a fully funded emergency fund. Address your high interest debt. Pay it off aggressively, as aggressive as you can, and consider addressing that so that you can reduce the amount of interest that you pay over time. Create sinking funds for irregular expenses, non-monthly expenses, and unpredictable things that are non-emergencies. Remember, this is going to protect you from touching your investments if something comes up in life that you need money for. Know your short-term savings goals. Start to think about aligning your savings goals with where you put your money. If you have something coming up in the next few years and you don't want to risk putting it in the financial markets, consider putting it somewhere else. And finally, know your risk tolerance. This is going to make sure that you are emotionally ready to invest and that you have a better chance of sticking to your plan. So if you have checked off most of these boxes, it might mean you're ready to start investing. If not, I think that's okay. This gives you a few ideas of what you can work on right now. I hope you know that simply watching this video already puts you ahead and puts you one step closer to investing towards building wealth. All right, I hope this video gave you some clarity and some confidence to start investing when you are ready. Now, if you want some step-by-step support on building your foundation, I would suggest you check out my Hello Money Bootcamp. It's an online course on demand that you can do on your own time, where I guide you through every single one of these areas and more. Check out the pinned comment for more information, and until next time, peace out.